Have you ever stopped to wonder who you are? Not your name, not your job, not the roles you play in society, but the real you. If everything you have built your identity around was stripped away, what would remain? Now imagine this. You walk into a room full of people. Instantly, your mind starts assessing. How do I look? What do they think of me? Am I being respected enough? But have you ever asked, who is this I that's so desperate to be seen, heard, and validated? That's the ego, the invisible force shaping how you see the world, how you react to people, and how you even define yourself. Today, we're unraveling the mystery of the ego, not just as a psychological concept, but as a force that silently scripts the story of your life. Is the ego your greatest illusion? Or can it be your greatest teacher? Let's find out. The ego is often misunderstood. When people hear the word ego, they think of arrogance or overconfidence. But that's just a one face of the ego. At its core, the ego is your sense of self, the identity you construct based on experiences, labels, and social conditioning. It's the inner narrator that says, I am this kind of person. I deserve this. I don't deserve that. It's neither good nor bad. It simply exists to create a framework of your identity. But here's what it gets tricky. Your ego isn't telling the truth. It doesn't reflect who you truly are. It reflects who you believe you are. Imagine a CEO who has spent 30 years building a company. His whole identity is tied to being the boss. But one day he retires. Suddenly there's no one calling him sir, no emails flooding his inbox, no meetings to attend. And in that silence, an unsettling question arises. What am I without this title? That's the trap of the ego. It convinces you that you are your labels. And when those labels fade, you feel lost. Ego isn't just about identity. It actively filters your perception of reality. The way you interpret situations, react to people, and even the way you deal with failure, it all stems from the ego. One of the best ways ego shapes our world is through comparison. It thrives on separation. I'm better than them, or they have more than me. This is why people get caught in competition, envy, and the constant need for validation. You post a picture expecting likes. When they don't come as fast as you hoped, you feel uneasy. Suddenly you're questioning yourself. But let's pause. Why? Did anything about you change? Or is it just your ego feeling unseen? The ego tricks us into believing that external validation equals self worth. But the truth is, your value never depended on numbers or opinions. It, it was always there. The ego is like a protective shield. It wants to keep you safe, safe from rejection, safe from embarrassment, safe from the unknown. But in doing so, it also becomes a barrier to growth. It makes it hard to accept criticism, admit mistakes, or step into uncertainty because that feels like a threat to the identity it created. Think about the last time you had a heated argument, maybe with a friend, a parent, a partner. Midway through, you realized maybe I'm wrong. But instead of admitting it, you kept defending your point. Why? Because the ego hates being wrong. It equates losing an argument with losing dignity. But here's the secret: real strength isn't in defending the ego, it's in rising above it. When you can say, I was wrong, without feeling lesser, that's when you have mastered your ego. Most people think the goal is to kill the ego, but that's not true. The ego isn't the enemy, it's a tool, like fire. It can either destroy or illuminate, depending on how you use it. So, how do we move from being controlled by the ego to working with it consciously? The answer lies in awareness, detachment, and alignment with something beyond the ego. Before you master something, you need to see it clearly. The first step is to simply observe when the ego is speaking. Here's an exercise for you. For one day, practice the observer's mind. Each time you feel offended, jealous, superior, or defensive, pause and ask, is this my ego speaking? Am I reacting from fear, pride, or insecurity? What happens if I just observe instead of reacting? This practice is deeply rooted in ancient wisdom. The Bhagavad Gita teaches that the true self is the witness, not the emotions, not the labels, but the silent awareness behind them. When you start observing your ego rather than acting from it, you break its hold over you. The ego thrives on attachment to titles, opinions, achievements, and even failures. But what happens when we loosen that grip? Here's an exercise for you. Choose one identity you strongly attached to. For example, I'm successful, I'm smart, and I'm a leader. Now ask, if this identity were taken away, who would I be? Can I exist without this label and still feel whole? Lao Tzu, the Taoist sage, said, when I let go of what I am, I become what I might be. The more we defend ourselves rigidly, the less we grow. True powers come from being fluid, adaptable, and unattached. One of the biggest struggles of the ego is its fear of being wrong. But what if being wrong is a gateway to deeper understanding? Here's an exercise for you. For the next disagreement you have, instead of proving your point, ask, what if the other person's perspective has something to teach me? Can I listen without needing to be right? The Zen tradition teaches the concept of beginner's mind, approaching life as if you know nothing, even when you think you do. The moment you release the need to be right, you create space for growth. The ego loves control. It wants certainty, validation, and recognition. But the deepest wisdom lies in surrendering to what is. Here's an exercise. Every day, take 5 minutes to sit in silence and ask, what am I resisting right now? Can I accept this moment fully without trying to change it? In Buddhism, surrender doesn't mean weakness, it means freedom. When you stop fighting reality and flow with it, you step beyond the ego and into peace. So, the next time you feel your ego taking over, whether it's in an argument on social media or in self doubt, pause, observe, ask yourself, is this really me or is this my ego talking? Because the more you understand your ego, the more you reclaim your power. Let me know in the comments which of these practices resonated with you the most. Thank you for tuning into today's episode. If you find this helpful, make sure to follow and share it with your friends and family. Feel free to share your thoughts in the comment section or in my Instagram DMs. See you next week where we dive into the concept of meditation. Until then, keep smiling and keep evolving. Thank you.